Imagine waking up one day in a world without coffee, hospitals, or even the scientific method. Sounds impossible, right? But what if I told you that many of the things you use every day, medicine, math, architecture, even your favorite books and music, were influenced by the Islamic world? For the past century, the Islamic world has been widely misunderstood, often portrayed through the lens of conflict and controversy. But there's another side to the story, one filled with innovation, culture, and groundbreaking contributions that have shaped the modern world in ways you might not expect. What if I told you that the very foundation of today's global civilization has deep roots in Islamic history? To understand the Islamic world's impact, we have to go back to the 7th century, when Islam began in Mecca, Arabia, with the revelations received by Prophet Muhammad. At its core, Islam emphasized monotheism, social justice, and most importantly, knowledge. Islam didn't just encourage learning, it made it a sacred duty. The very first revelation to Prophet Muhammad was a command to read, "In the name of your Lord who created." Surah Al-Alaq 96:1. This emphasis on education and intellectual curiosity became the driving force behind one of history's greatest intellectual movements, the Islamic Golden Age, 814 the century. During this time, Muslim scholars became pioneers in medicine, mathematics, and astronomy. They didn't just preserve knowledge from earlier civilizations, like the Greeks and Romans. They expanded upon it, creating new scientific disciplines. Cities like Baghdad, Cordoba, and Cairo became global centers of research and education, giving birth to some of the greatest scientific minds in history. And this wasn't just ancient history. Islam's emphasis on knowledge continued into the last 100 years, influencing fields like modern medicine, technology, and architecture. Did you know that many of the medical practices we rely on today originated in the Islamic world? The idea of a hospital as a place for both treatment and education was pioneered in the Islamic Golden Age. The first true hospitals, called bimaristans, were established in Baghdad and Cairo, far ahead of their time. These weren't just places where the sick were treated. They were also research institutions where medical students learned from expert doctors. One of the greatest minds in medicine was Al-Razi, often called the father of pediatrics. He was the first to differentiate between measles and smallpox, saving countless lives with his early disease classifications. And then there's Ibn Sina, Avicenna. His medical textbook, The Canon of Medicine, was used in European universities for over 600 years. But it didn't stop there. The very concept of quarantine, isolating sick patients to prevent the spread of disease, was an Islamic innovation. When the Black Death devastated Europe in the 14th century, Islamic cities already had quarantine protocols in place, inspired by medical texts that recommended isolation for 40 days, a practice that directly influenced modern public health. And let's talk numbers, literally. The Arabic numeral system, 0, 1, 2, 3, etc., that we use today was introduced to Europe through Islamic mathematicians like Al-Khwarizmi, who also invented algebra. His work laid the foundation for everything from modern computing to engineering. Think about it. Every time you go to a hospital, take medicine, or even use a smartphone, which relies on algorithms, an Islamic invention, you're benefiting from centuries of Islamic contributions. When you think of architectural wonders, what comes to mind? Maybe the Eiffel Tower, the Empire State Building, or the pyramids. But what if I told you that some of the most iconic architectural styles in the world were influenced by Islamic civilization? Take the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, one of the oldest Islamic structures, with its mesmerizing gold dome and intricate geometric patterns. This style influenced countless churches, palaces, and government buildings across Europe and the Middle East. Or consider the Alhambra in Spain, built during Islamic rule, with its stunning courtyards, water fountains, and Arabic calligraphy adorning the walls. These weren't just aesthetic choices. They reflected an understanding of nature, symmetry, and harmony that modern architects still admire. Today, elements of Islamic architecture, like grand archways, intricate tile work, and large domes, are used in buildings across the world, proving that innovation in design transcends time. Beyond architecture, the Islamic world gave us some of the most influential poetry, music, and literature. Have you ever heard of Rumi? This 13th century Persian poet is one of the best-selling poets in the US today. His verses about love, spirituality, and human connection have touched millions of people across generations, regardless of faith or background. Islamic art is another treasure trove of creativity. Unlike Western styles that often depict human figures, Islamic art focuses on intricate patterns, mesmerizing mosaics, and calligraphy, symbolizing the infinite nature of God. The Kufic script, for example, has been used in everything from religious manuscripts to modern branding. And let's not forget music. Instruments like the oud, a type of lute, and the kanun, a type of zither, laid the groundwork for Middle Eastern and even Western classical music. The rhythm and melodic structure of Islamic music influenced everything from flamenco in Spain to modern jazz. The pursuit of knowledge has always been central to Islamic teachings. The famous House of Wisdom in Baghdad was not just a library, but a research center where scholars translated Greek, Persian, and Indian texts into Arabic, preserving and expanding ancient knowledge. Think about it. Without the work of these early scholars, much of what we know about ancient civilizations might have been lost. Ibn Khaldun, one of the first social scientists, wrote about history, economics, and sociology long before they became recognized fields of study. In fact, many of his ideas were groundbreaking for their time, helping shape modern sociology. Al-Khwarizmi, a mathematician from the Islamic Golden Age, is known as the father of algebra, a field that we now rely on for everything from computer science to engineering. Islamic scholars didn't just preserve knowledge, they expanded it. They were not content with merely translating ancient works. They questioned, explored, and innovated, laying the groundwork for the Renaissance in Europe. Did you know that the world's first degree-granting university was founded by a Muslim woman? In 859 AD, Fatima al-Fihri established the University of Al-Qarawiyyin in Morocco, which still operates today. Meanwhile, the House of Wisdom in Baghdad became a global hub of learning, where scholars translated and preserved knowledge from Greek, Roman, and Persian civilizations. These institutions laid the groundwork for modern universities, research centers, and libraries, ensuring that knowledge was accessible and continuously expanded. Islamic teachings have always emphasized social justice, charity, and ethics. The concept of waqf, the donation of property for public use, has been instrumental in building public institutions like schools, hospitals, and orphanages across the Islamic world. In fact, some of the earliest public schools and hospitals in the world were founded by waqf endowments. This tradition of charity continues today, with many Islamic charities providing aid to the less fortunate around the globe. The principle of zakat, or almsgiving, encourages wealth redistribution and helps reduce poverty in Muslim-majority countries. On a global scale, many Islamic organizations have been instrumental in relief efforts after natural disasters, showing the true spirit of compassion in action. Beyond charity, Islamic ethics focus on the dignity of all people. The emphasis on respect for the elderly, the importance of family, and the care for the less fortunate have shaped societies for centuries. These teachings have inspired countless movements for justice, equality, and humanitarian efforts throughout the world. Even today, Islamic charitable organizations provide global humanitarian aid, proving that the Islamic world's contributions go beyond science and art. They're deeply embedded in social progress. So, what have we learned from the Islamic world over the last century? We've seen how Islamic contributions have shaped science, architecture, art, education, and social justice. The Islamic world, often misunderstood or misrepresented, has actually been a driving force in global civilization, pushing the boundaries of human knowledge and compassion. These positive contributions aren't just ancient history. They're still alive today, influencing the way we live, think, and work. So next time you see a hospital, admire a beautiful building, listen to a song, or use a new technology, remember that these innovations might have had a hand in shaping your world. The Islamic world didn't just contribute to the past, it continues to inspire the future.